Before I became known as the Apostle Paul, I was Saul, a devout Pharisee. I believed I was serving God by persecuting Christians, arresting them, and even approving their executions. I thought I was defending the faith, but little did I know, God had a different plan for my life. One day, while traveling to Damascus, a blinding light suddenly surrounded me, and I heard a voice calling my name. "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" It was Jesus. In that moment, everything changed. I was struck blind for 3 days, unable to eat or drink. Then, a disciple named Ananias came to me, laid his hands on me, and my sight was restored. I was baptized, and the very message I once sought to destroy became my mission. I set out on my first missionary journey with Barnabas, sent by the Holy Spirit. We traveled to Cyprus and Asia Minor, preaching the gospel in cities like Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe. Despite facing fierce opposition and persecution, we boldly proclaimed the good news, establishing churches and making disciples. In Paphos, I confronted a false prophet named Elymas, who tried to oppose our message. Filled with the Holy Spirit, I struck him blind, demonstrating God's power over evil. This miracle amazed the Roman proconsul, Sergius Paulus, and he became a believer. As the church grew, questions arose about whether Gentiles needed to follow Jewish law to be saved. Barnabas and I traveled to Jerusalem to meet with the apostles and elders. After much debate, it was decided that Gentiles should not be required to be circumcised but should abstain from certain practices. This decision became crucial for the early church's mission. On my second missionary journey, I was joined by Silas and later Timothy. We traveled through Macedonia and Greece, preaching in cities like Philippi, Thessalonica, and Corinth. In Philippi, after casting a demon out of a slave girl, Silas and I were imprisoned, but God miraculously freed us, leading to the conversion of the jailer and his family. In Athens, I spoke at the Areopagus, addressing the people about the unknown God they worshipped. I used their cultural context to introduce them to the true Creator. In Corinth, I spent 1.5 years establishing a strong church, despite facing opposition. On my third missionary journey, I revisited many of the churches I had established, strengthening and encouraging them in their faith. I spent considerable time in Ephesus, performing miracles and teaching about the Holy Spirit. Eventually, I returned to Jerusalem, knowing imprisonment awaited me. I was arrested by Roman authorities after being accused of bringing a Gentile into the temple. My arrest led to a series of trials, and ultimately, I appealed to Caesar, seeking to take my case to Rome. As I prepared for my journey to Rome, I trusted in God's plan. Even in chains, I continued to preach the gospel, believing that God would use my circumstances to further His kingdom. My life was transformed, and I was determined to share that transformation with the world.